Hi, I'm Robert Reich. And people ask me all the time why we don't have a revolution in America, or at least a major wave of reform, similar to the waves of reform we had in the Progressive era, or the New Deal, or the Great Society. I mean, middle incomes are sinking. The ranks of the poor are swelling, and almost all the economic gains are going to the top. And big money is corrupting our democracy. So people ask me, why isn't there more of a ruckus? The answer is complex, but three reasons stand out. First, the working class is paralyzed with fear it will lose the jobs and wages it already has. You see, in earlier decades, the working class fomented reform. The labor movement led the charge for a minimum wage, 40-hour work week, unemployment insurance, and Social Security. But average workers no longer are going to lead that charge. Working people don't dare. The share of working-age Americans holding jobs is now lower than at any time in the last 3 decades. And 76% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. The last thing they want to do is make a fuss and risk losing the little they have. Secondly, students don't dare rock the boat. In prior decades, students were a major force for social change. They played an active role in the civil rights movement, the free speech movement, and against the Vietnam War. But today's students are laden with debt. That's something that students in the 60s didn't have. Since 1999, student debt has increased more than 500%. Yet the average starting salary for graduates has dropped 10%, adjusted for inflation. To make matters worse, the job market for new graduates remains lousy, which is why record numbers are still living at home. Reformers and revolutionaries don't look forward to living with mom and dad or worrying about credit ratings and job recommendations. Third, and finally, the American public has become so cynical about government that many no longer think reform is possible. When asked if they believe government will do the right thing most of the time, fewer than 20% of Americans today agree. Now, 50 years ago, when that same question was first asked on standardized surveys, more than 75% of Americans agreed. It's hard to get people worked up to change society, or even to change a few laws, when they don't believe government can possibly work. Now, this may sound like a kind of discouraging message, but despite all this, change is coming anyway. We cannot abide an ever greater share of the nation's income and wealth going to the top, while median household incomes continue to drop. 1 out of 5 of our children is living in dire poverty, and big money is taking over our democracy. At some point, working people, students, and the broad public in general will have had enough. They will reclaim our democracy and our economy. This has been the central lesson of American history. Reform is less risky than revolution, but the longer we wait, the more likely it will be the latter.